Uh-oh. All right, so where should we take it back to?
All right. Let's take it back to like your name, where you're from,
All
when
right,
you graduate. That spiel,
sure.
just to be safe.
All right, so my name is Zachary Bloom. I am from Mansfield, Massachusetts, which is in between Boston and Providence, a little closer to Providence, sort of suburban wasteland. Lived there for 18 years. Went to UMass, graduated in 2011, and I lived in Boston for 3 years after that, and then I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary of living in New York City.
All right, and again, what do you do for a job out there? Can you give us a brief rundown?
Yeah, sure. So I work for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which is a bi-state agency that oversees most of the interstate transportation facilities within about a 25-mile radius of the Statue of Liberty. So that includes the George Washington Bridge, which is the world's busiest bridge, a couple tunnels under the Hudson River, the airports, the bus station in Midtown, the PATH train that goes between northern New Jersey and Manhattan, and then the shipping ports, and then the World Trade Center, which is where I work.
All right. All right, and I think we're pretty much caught up with where we were in the interview before. So actually, all right. So you're from Mansfield. That's at the east coast of Massachusetts. So how'd you end up out west at UMass?
Out west. So I actually. Oh no, you froze again.
Did I freeze? Oh wait.
It's okay. Okay, you're back. It's fine.
Okay. I think I just struck a pose accidentally.
No, it's well. At least the audio is okay.
Okay.
So I UMass. I applied to 7 schools, and UMass was choice number 7. But I was a National Merit Scholar, and so I got a call as I was making my decision about what to do. I got a call from the admissions department at UMass saying that I had gotten a full scholarship. So I totally didn't want to do it, but my parents, who understand money better than I did at the time, basically told me that I had to go. And so that's how I ended up there, and I ended up absolutely loving it.
Right. I'm glad to hear that. Went from worst to first in your mind.
Yeah, it was great. I don't regret going there for a second.
Yeah. So, were you enrolled in the English major right away? And did you have any other minors, specializations, interests?
Yeah, so I was enrolled as an English major from day one. English was my favorite and best subject in high school, middle school, and I've always been an avid reader and writer. I've written poetry since, God help us all, since I was 13, and I think I've successfully destroyed all of that stuff, but I don't know. I minored in Spanish, which was just another. My proficiency was high enough by the end of high school that I didn't need to take Spanish language classes, so that was basically a minor in more literature. So it was really literature all around.
Right, that's cool. Doing Spanish just for the literature. That's interesting. Yeah. So what made you want to major in English? Has it always been like a lifelong passion? Is there a specific reason?
Yeah, I mean, it was partly passion. It was partly, I don't want to say that I didn't know what else to do, but it was so odd. The one thing that really captivated me and really kept my interest and that I would want to do for 4 years. And I took, especially freshman year, I took so many classes in different subjects, and I liked a lot of them, and I learned a lot in many of them. But the whole time I was taking other classes, it really drove home to me. No, the one thing I want to spend a lot of time on is English.
Okay. Did you have a favorite English class?
Oh my God, only one.
Give me top 5. It sounds like you have a
top 5. Okay, top 5 might be. I could do top 3. Top 3 seems.
Top 3.
All right, so I'd have to say Jocelyn Almeida Beveridge's romantic poetry class.
Mm-hmm.
Was phenomenal. It was every day of that class was great. Adam Zucker's Brit Lit 1 class, I think is what it was. The sort of like Chaucer, Milton, Spencer, that stuff. That was a really great class. And then number 3 would be writing a short story workshop with a professor who unfortunately has left the department and moved to, I think, Cincinnati or something horrible like that. Real loss for the department when she left. And it was the only creative writing class I ever took where every single person produced really good work. And that's, wonderful. It's wonderful to be in a room full of super talented people.
So, Zach, you're obviously very passionate about the English major. So, at any point in your academic career, were you discouraged? Like, did you lose hope? Like, lost sight of like the future, the goal?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Everyone loses hope when they're 18 to 21 at some point, right? There was actually a point when I almost took a break from school, and it wasn't just English; it was sort of everything was piled up. There was a point when I thought about transferring. It was just it was like these moments of like, I don't know if this is what's right for me, and I don't know if this is something that I want to follow through on. But they were some brief moments.
Yeah. Was there like a thought that always roped you back in that made you confident about the major?
It was a couple things. Number one is the moment when I was actually really seriously considering taking time off. I called my dad, and he was like, "Finish things that you start," and that was the conversation. And so I stuck it out. I really did stick it out because of that. And also, I mean, it was every semester I had at least one class. Usually, it was an English class. That like really every day that I was in class was sort of intellectually invigorating and exciting, and I looked forward to going to it. And that helped even at times when the rest of my life was making me really not want to do school. That really kept me going.
Okay. Well put. That's good to hear. So, like, throughout your years at school, I'm sure you inevitably got asked, though, what are you going to do with that question? With, like, a little hint of, like,
disdain.
Yeah, exactly. So how would you reply to that question? Like, and what was your reaction to it?
You gotta end that part out. Maybe you can ask the question again so that we can.
So, what was your reaction to what are you gonna do with that question? How did it make you feel, and how would you respond?
Yeah. So it's not to say that I don't care what other people think about me, but I generally don't, and so I sort of have that resilience just as a inherent personality trait. But I would say, I would say the same thing that I say now, which is that not everything in life is about making sure that you have a perfect plan for the future. Well, number one, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a freelance writer. It's going to be really easy. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to be published in the New Yorker by the time I'm like 23. Everything's going to be great. And so there was that sort of hubris that was part of it. But there was also the flip side was that, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't know exactly what the English major was going to do for me career-wise. But at the same time, I really felt that college was a time to do things that I wouldn't be able to do later in life.
Okay.
So it was, I'm doing things that I like. And there were a lot of people who were doing things they didn't like because they thought it was going to make money. And I said, I'd rather enjoy my time here.
All right. So, what was part of the things that made English so enjoyable? What was the value you saw in it that made you ignore what everybody else was saying?
The value in it. Literature it enriches your life. I go back to it's not just money versus enjoyment, but it's when the word rich, what does it mean? Is your life, if your life is just about running a rat race, that seems very sad and empty to me. Literature shows you ways of interacting with the world. It shows you ways of understanding yourself and interacting with yourself and others. It provides you with and the study of literature, really immersing yourself in it, provides you with this sort of like metaphorical basis to make your own life, like live your own life deliberately. If That makes sense. Is that a good answer to that?
No, that's a great answer. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. So let's stray away from the academics. We might touch on it a bit later, after like when we're wrapping things up. But
Sure.
so you're working for Port Transit. Is that what it's called?
The Port Authority.
Port Authority. Yes. Port something. I thought that was a store. But so how did you get to that point? You know, that doesn't sound like an English job per se. So what are some of the other jobs you've had like to get to this point? Yeah.
I'm resisting the urge. I know, because I know there's later questions where you ask how English has helped me in my career. I'm going to hold off on going on that right now. So the way I got to where I am was very. It was due to serendipity. It was due to serendipity is that word. So basically, I graduated and I moved to Boston a week later. With my graduation gift money in my pocket and nothing else, no job. I found an apartment super last minute. I had like a couple friends there. I had no plans, nothing. And I tried working as a freelance writer. I got published a little bit and I made like $50 here, $50 there. But it was like, every day I was watching my bank account approach zero. And so I eventually took a job in retail just to sort of keep myself afloat. And then it became within less than a year, it became apparent to me that I don't actually have what it takes to be a freelancer. I need more financial security than that provides. And then of course, making money is useless. So I applied to some. Oh, did you lose me?
For a little bit, just can you repeat what you said? For after you realized you couldn't be a freelance writer.
Yeah, so I realized I needed more financial security than that would provide, and that working as trying to make money as a creative writer is basically impossible, except for a very small number of people. So I applied to a couple programs, and I also applied to a master's, just like a regular master's program that would have turned into. My plan was to potentially turn it into a PhD that would have been a continuation of my undergrad thesis, believe it or not. And I actually got into that program and decided not to go because in the meantime, I had taken a job as a research assistant paralegal. So I was working about half my time. It was a very weird situation. I was working in my boss's home office with one other coworker. And what we did was we did criminal defense work about 2/3 of the time, and he's also a pretty successful newspaper columnist, and so we would edit his stuff, research stuff for his columns with him. He'd let us time. It was a mix of writing and writing, which I wanted to do, and other stuff that I didn't really want to do, but ended up kind of liking. And so I almost went to law school, and then after about 2 years working in the legal profession, I was totally burned out. I was like, I can't do this for my whole life. And I've always been into cities. I've always been into trains. I've always been into transportation. So those were things that were there, but it never clicked to me that you could do them for a job. And my coworker one day, I was totally procrastinating on something, and she came into my office. And she didn't even say hello or what's going on. She just said, I had like Google Maps open or something. And she pointed at it and she said, every time you're procrastinating, you look at maps or read about public transportation. There's a thing you can do. It's called a master's degree in urban planning. And you can do this for a living. And I was like, I didn't know that. And so within about 2 hours, I knew that was the thing I should be doing with my life.
Okay.
And haven't looked back.
Yeah. So wait, how'd you get to the Port Authority position from there?
Yeah, so from there, I got to urban planning school, and from day one, I was like, yeah, this is the place I need to be. These are the people I need to be with. These are the things I need to spend my time studying. and then the question is, I'm into housing, I'm into urban economics, I'm into transportation. What am I into? And so one of the good things about my program is that they force you to do an internship. And so I was sort of scrounging around looking for internships. And then at the very last minute, I applied for one at the Port Authority. Just like, why not? It's this totally dysfunctional organization, but I'll see, maybe it'll be interesting. And then I ended up getting an interview with Path, which is the little commuter railroad that we run. And it was a phone interview, and I was on the phone with my future the woman who ended up being my boss, and I was just on the phone. I was like, "This is going to be great," and I knew I was going to get hired. And so I ended the summer. I was supposed to be there for the summer of 2015, and then in August, my boss asked me to stay on during the school year, and I never left.
All right. Cool. So here's the big question, the one you withheld your rant earlier. Well, something just popped up on my screen. That's funny. But so did English prepare you for your job in any way? Like, what are some ways that the skills you learned in the English major can be applied or are applied in your line of work?
Sure. I'll try to keep my answer not too long and insane. So English, yes, absolutely. There's no job in the world for which English does not help you in some way. There are several reasons. The first and foremost is you would not believe how many grown adults in the real world, including people in very high positions within organizations, have no idea how to write. Can't even write an email. Can't put a sentence together. And it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And if you can string together words cogently, and even better, if you can come up with good turns of phrase, people take you so seriously. I can't even begin to describe how important it is, and how much of a leg up you have on people who can't write. It's really unbelievable. And so that's number one. Number two, I think, is studying literature. Literature is the study of what is true and what is false, what is metaphor, what is literal, what is text and what is subtext, right? At least that's one angle of it. And so, for lack of a better word, studying English can help you learn about BS, basically. And the world is, the world is really full of BS. It's like, to an extent that's kind of alarming. It's full of BS. And I think studying literature gives you a sort of a toolkit for identifying it and knowing how to deal with it, which is very useful. And I know that sounds like really kind of dark, but it's true. I mean, when I was a senior, I was asked to give a speech to like the whole English department, and that was one of the things that I said in it. It's like, English teaches you the high and ancient art of BS, which also teaches you how to detect BS, and that's extremely important. It's a very good skill. And then the last thing I would say is just like, in terms, at least for me, like overall, sort of the way I live my life has been very influenced by my study of literature, and that actually, it's not directly career related, but like a large portion of my understanding of how the world works and how I interact with other people has been shaped by literature, and I think generally for the best. And that kind of character development within yourself, while it's not exactly like a job skill, it's a soft skill, and those things, in school you're learning hard skills, so people sort of pretend like soft skills don't matter as much as they do. But out in the world, there are, in New York City, for every skill I have, there are 1,000 people who are just as good at it as me, and have more skills that I don't have. But the way you conduct yourself is something that can really set you apart, and I think the study of literature can contribute to that.
Okay.
How's that for rah English?
that was a great rant. I'm glad you said things you did. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget about just like the personal like strength English can build in us. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is an important thing in the workplace. So do you have any career goals? Like, do you want to move higher up in your port authority position?
Career goals. So I'm 27 now, and I'm finally old enough to know that I'm still young, and I don't. So I have career goals that I don't have like exactly a dream job, and I don't exactly know what I want to do. I have sort of broad goals of how of the impact I'd like to have on the world, and the sort of kind of the kind of work that I like doing. I know those things. The way I sort of see it is I don't have my dream job right now, but I'm on the right ladder. I'm climbing the right ladder to a place that I'll eventually want to be. And so I don't exactly have a career goal, but basically, I mean, my joke is that like really what I want to do is I want to be in a position where like I'm high enough up in the organization that all I do every day is have people come present their work to me, and I tell them what sucks about it and what they need to do better. Like that's like that's like my fantasy job, which does exist. That is a job that exists. But so I don't know. I mean, I want to be at the end of it to be a major contributor to the long-term planning of transportation in New York City. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I love. It's the place I love, and I can't see myself doing anything else. Whether am I going to be at the Port Authority for the next 40 years? I don't know. But will I be in transportation for the next 40 years? 100%.
All right. Well, thank you. That was great discussion about your career there. So we'll just wrap it up with like some final questions, like your final thoughts.
Sure.
So what piece of advice would you give to students who are just starting out in the major?
I would say give a rude gesture to people who ask you why you're studying English. It's number one. And I would say, if you're doing something that you like, be sure about it, and not be sure about, be confident about it. And I would say, obviously, you're in college to prepare yourself to be in the workforce. So I would say, don't be as reckless as I was. Maybe make some plans for what you're going to do after you graduate. But the flip side of that is don't plan everything. Enjoy that you enjoy and enjoy doing it, because for as much as human imagination is amazing, human imagination is extremely limited as well. And if I had tried to program out my entire path going forward, that I could have been as interested in or as satisfied the life that I would have had that I have sort of stumbled into.
All right.
So keep the faith.
So now that you mentioned you were an avid reader earlier, so now that you're out of college, do you still read? And what's your favorite book?
So I don't read books generally, but I have one of these subscriptions, and I have a lovely pile because it's impossible to read through them at the pace that they come. So I still read a lot of poetry, and other than poetry, I mostly read nonfiction. I'm a news and news commentary addict. I'm a magazine writing addict. I read every single day. I read the New York Times, Slate, the New Yorker, the New York Magazine, City Lab, which is an urban planning website. Fox. I'm like addicted to all of these sort of news commentary sites. I read The Atlantic. I mean, I read an insane amount actually. And if I'm left to my own devices for a day, I will spend the entire day reading.
So do you still have, did you have a favorite book, even though you've shifted away from that kind of medium?
Sure. So, well, I'm going to stretch the definition of book a bit. Favorite book would probably either be Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce, or Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. But really, my actual favorite things that I've ever read are not technically books. Would be Paradise Lost by John Milton, which I wrote my thesis on, and I can talk about until the end of time. And then, like Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, measure for measure, but most Shakespeare.
All right. Well, thank you for your time today, Zach. That's really all I got for you. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you'd like to say?
Now that you put me on the spot, I don't. Well, happy to be of service. I'm always pleased to corrupt the youth.
All right. Well, all right.